Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations on Experiential Hospitality. My name is Fran, and I'm the co founder of Turneo. With me today is Guido Martinetti, founder of an amazing boutique hotel, Marne Relais, and a founder of a number of other businesses. Guido, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, Fran. Hello, everybody. And thank you for the nice speech we will have.
Guido, your background is incredible. You went from a gelato maker in your 20s to a hotelier in the current present time. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Absolutely. Fran, my background is about farming. So I studied agronomy and then I specialized in winemaking, which was my great passion, Fran, because it was the only channel to talk with my father, which was divorced from my mother, and he was very passionate about wine. So I imagined to be a winemaker. Then after a while, when I was 26, I had the idea to manage the relationship with farmers to make a very special gelato, which is called Grom. And we started from scratch, and we opened a 25 square meter shop in the center of Turin in northwest of Italy. And after 12 years, in 2015, we sold the company of gelato and to a very famous international corporate company called Unilever. So I took the money, and it was possible to realize my dream to get into the wine business. So we bought a farm called Muramura, which now is quite big and is oriented on producing of making high top quality wine. So Barolo and Barbaresco, which are very famous in this area of Piedmont. So after a while, I imagined that was interesting for me, for my customers, for my wife and my family, and to have beside the winery an hospitality boutique hotel. So because of my passion for art, I bought two different houses, very old. I mean, we are in the early years of 19th centuries, 1825, 1820. And we developed a special model of hotel business, only 14 rooms. One of these rooms is suspended over the vineyards at 5 meters high. And the two houses are one dedicated to poetry and the other one to modern art. And then I integrated the art with the sport. So we have a very, very professional and incredible to be so a small relay. Incredible gym where we cooperate with Techno Gym is 150 square meters, so quite big for only 14 rooms. We have a bicycle tour in the vineyards, which was projected by the Italian national team responsible, which name is Danilo Pontoni, which won also a gold medal at the Olympics. And then we have an incredible pool, 25 meters long, which is looking at the vineyards. So the concept of Le Marne, Fran, is to have together art and sport, and every single room is dedicated to a different artist. So
Wow.
the furniture, the smell, the books you find in the rooms is about the artist. So sports and art and artist. And this is Le Marne, in the middle of the vineyards, obviously, because we are in a vineyard region.
That's fantastic. And obviously, this year, you've also been recognized as one of the top most experiential hotels in Italy. You've mentioned art, you've mentioned sports, you've mentioned that you're in the middle of a vineyard. What type of experiences do you curate for your guests? And more than that, after what type? Why? Why not just have a hotel? People sleep, people go and do their thing.
Yeah, it's a very nice question because the kind of experience that I want to give to my guest is not one experience, but it's the answer to a question, which is when in our life do we find something memorable? You know, some things in life, that will be memorable. Your degree, the first time you make love with your girlfriend, or your first communion, or. But there are some situations which can be just the apple cake worm, from the apples of the garden, serve it to you in a very freezing morning at Le Marne, or you are swimming, listening your favorite song, and you are alone in that swimming pool, and you think about your life and think about what you love, think about your job, and there is a moment in which you are alone with your brain that could be memorable. So because also of my passion, when I meet somebody, I always try to be memorable. So to give to his personal emotions, everyone has his own emotions which are different, you know. So I try to answer to this question for any single guest. So for some people the wine can be memorable, or can be memorable if I have a walk with my son and I'm able to say no, not by a phone call, but beside him, which is a different attitude. By a phone call is a kind of just a no. You cannot do that. If I'm beside of you, this is love, which is different. So I'm taking care of you, which is different to say only no. So that walk with your son can be memorable for you, but for him even more. So everyone has his own personal situation of memorability. And I would like that Le Marne gives to every guest his own session of memorability. This is my goal.
So as a hotelier, you're in the business of creating and crafting memorable experiences for the guest.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's a kind of tailor job to crafting memorable experiences, which is based on the emotion, on the people I meet, and I always try to explain to the people working with me to open the ears to be able to listen, because some people they want to be embraced, some others they want to have we stay 2 meters far from them. So to be able to listen the necessity of everybody is the key for success. Because for me, it's just an opinion. The luxury today is not anymore to see something, very shiny. The luxury is somebody who takes care of you. Is the smell of your bed. Is the quantity of shower you have of water you have in the shower in the morning. And for example, we only use local materials like wood, like stones. We only use local farmers and local traditional food. So in the past, a lot of people they wanted to surprise you. Today, for me, the people need not to be surprised, but to be comforted, which is different. That's my opinion, obviously,
Yeah,
especially in the countryside, in the middle of the vineyards.
And there's something you mentioned there around luxury at the beginning where you said someone expects to be embraced and someone else wants to keep a bit of distance. What I'm hearing there is luxury is also about choice. Some people want to, for example, for you to talk to them, to offer them to, and other people want to perhaps explore on their own. Or they might want to book things remotely. They don't want to talk to anyone. They just want to click 3 buttons and that's it.
Absolutely.
So how do you manage that in terms of how do your guests discover experiences in and around your hotel? And then how do they go about actually doing them or consuming them or
For me, the best way to give to my customer, to my guest, the chance to discover experiences is to involve my employees. So they must live personally the experience. So for example, if we have the helicopter trip all around the Langhe area, no, which is the area for Barolo and Barbaresco, which are two wines which are very famous for, and we have this fantastic helicopter trip. So if I go with them to have me and them, I mean my employees, I want to underline, an helicopter trip together, they will be very embracing the experience, they know the experience, and they will be able to talk enthusiastically to the guest. So they say, I did this. I'm not telling you something that I've read, something that I have heard about, but I lived the experience. So to involve my employees in all our processes is fundamental for me to give it's a sort of, I believe, is trust. When a guest come to Le Marne, they trust to what they listen. They trust the stories given them, not from Guido, which is not possible to be always there, because if I had been always there, I cannot be interviewed by Fran, and so I want to involve as much as possible any one of my employees to tell a story, to tell an experience, to tell something that they lived before. Not something that's for example, when you suggest restaurants, it's very different if you have been there or if you just tell a story.
Yeah.
So that's the key, because you gain the real, most important word in the relationship between people, which is trust.
Yeah.
Imagine about your wife. Maybe you don't live with her all day long. If you trust, you feel safe. If you imagine a brand, imagine Apple. Okay, they promise you something, they realize the promise, and so you trust them. And so that means to be a love mark. It's a kind of situation which you love. This is luxury as well. The trust.
And you're right. I think expectations are the mother of all disappointment, but they're also the mother of all joy. If you've managed the expectations well and the guest had an expectation and you have fulfilled or exceeded that expectation, then the guest trusts you and the guest will always come back.
About expectations, I think is a kind of balance between what you tell and what you do. So if the expectation will be higher than what you told about it, maybe you didn't tell so well. So it's a kind of balance, no? Because as you said, Fran, the expectation must be respect, must be very, in the same field of what you live later. Because there is first the expectation and then what you live for. And for example, I see many, many rich people that we go to meet the truffle hunter with his dog, and they can choose the truffles and then can use the truffles they choose for their dinner or the pasta, for example, the pasta dish and so on. And they go crazy for that because you meet the truffle hunters and you see that it's real, so in that moment you satisfy an expectations.
Yeah. Truffle season is upon us. You talk a lot about how guests discover experiences during their stay. So when they are at the property, and you've mentioned staff being so important there. What about before the guests stay at your property, or even before they even decided to stay at Le Mar? So, we've obviously researched a lot, and I've done a lot of research on your property. You've got a beautiful website. How do you use technology in communicating these experiences to guests?
For me, technology to communicate today is always about emotion. If you are talking to an average kind of customers, I mean, somebody is passionate about technology, some others no, but for sure, I always try to have the best photos and the best, emotions to serve to the people which has a first contact with Le Marne on the website. So, for example, I took for me the best photographer in Europe for Le Marne, which is very expensive, obviously. But the kind of photos he was able to take out from Le Marne is perfectly on the brand, perfectly the kind of atmosphere that I want to suggest to my customer. And as you understood very well, I don't want to scream. I want to suggest, which is different. So this is the attitude. On the side, the second concept is where you are. So I'm in Italy. I'm in the vineyard. So any kind of situation is, when you talk about a brand on the website or whatever, you must be sharp. You must be clean. Few messages, clear. So the messages come from a short copy with the proper tone of voice. The same tone of voice you must have in the pictures. The same tone of voice you must have with the people when you come into Le Marne and you meet the people at the reception. So it's a question of tone of voice, no? Before we talk about trust, it's the same. If you have the same attitude always and you are precise on execute this kind of approach, the people will believe in you.
I'm
And
hearing
so, you know,
consistency there, right? It's
exactly,
consistency
exactly,
of
consistency,
brand.
exactly. Exactly. And you know, the people trust in you, the people give you money. Okay, I respect the kind of relationship and they want to satisfy themselves as much as possible. So the consistency is so important.
Yeah, especially given that they're coming and they have a certain expectation from your physical property, which is obviously the room, the facilities. Then there's a certain expectation from the service they get, so the staff, the food, the beverages, and then
Exactly.
finally it's the experiences that you recommend them, where that same consistency of brand has to follow. And the helicopter ride that you mentioned, or the truffle hunting that you will suggest that I go
Exactly.
and take has to follow the same level of quality, the same level of brand, and everything you've mentioned.
You
And
know
I think,
what? I make you an example, Fran, about expectations. If you go to the center of Tokyo in Ginza, the luxury quarter of Tokyo, you imagine a kind of service also, which is very, you know, you are in Japan, you are in Tokyo, you are in Ginza. So you imagine very precise people, very, you know, formal people, perfect. We are in Italy, in the countryside, in the middle of the vineyards. So that's my opinion for sure. You must find a warmer place with, you know, maybe your grandmother recipe for the pasta. Maybe also you eat some fresh fruit for the garden for breakfast. So maybe you find something which is less precise but warmer.
Mhm.
So this is the concept of consistency, which is also a kind of smell. When you come into your room, the smell in Ginza is different from the smell in Piedmont in the country vineyard, you know. So all these details you put together and you make an experience.
And you mentioned the word there before. It's about suggesting, not screaming. How do you do that when it comes to experiences?
The kind what I mean when I talk about suggestion and not screaming is the question that we give you opportunities. We don't want to sell you opportunities. So we also in every single room we have a library. We have many books about the protagonist of the room, you know. So it's culture. It's something that you can touch, you can read if you want, but nobody obliged you to deep dive into the life of Cesare Pavese, Primo Levi, or Francesco Carlo Magno, which is an artist, an Italian artist. You can choose. So at the same is always for me for the wine, the Muramura, our farm is the same from Radici, our restaurant. Is something that we give you an opportunity, but you smell clearly that we don't want to sell you something.
No, no,
We
no.
just propose with enthusiasm, with passion, with is an opportunity. If you want to touch, well, we are there for you. If you don't want to buy, no problem.
Of
So
course.
also the experience is this is the kind of feel that I want to give to my customers. So they have opportunities. They don't make me rich because they buy an helicopter trip or a truffle hunting or a bike ride in the vineyard. They don't make me more happy. I'm happy if I see them smile, not
Mhm.
if they open their pockets. It's
Yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah.
And I want
And I
to,
think,
obviously, that's very important to give this kind of approach to all the organization because it's not always Guido that is just in face of the customer.
yeah, and I think what you're saying there is the job of a hotelier in experiential hospitality is to open up these opportunities for guests, and it's up for the guests to grab them or not if they're not feeling it at that moment. But it is the job of the hotelier to make sure that the guest is aware of the things,
So,
and that's what ultimately puts the smile on
yeah.
their face.
Yeah. And I think that enthusiasm and simple words, not complicated, is the basic. You don't want to, you must not to show because if you show, if it's clear that you want to show, the people in front of you, most of them, not everybody, but most of them, they are scared because they see that you are not worried about their experience, but you are worried about your show.
Mm.
So, and we are animals, we smell, you know, emotions. And for me, is always to be enthusiastic for sure, but not overgo about the red line of showing some.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where do you see we the conversation has been going so well, but we are running out of time. As one of the last topics that I wanted to check with you is where do you see the future of Le Marne? But more than that, where do you see the future of experiential hospitality and luxury experiential hospitality going?
Um, is concept of the future of hospitality and the concept of Le Marne, Fran, and where we are going to, is a kind of I only can answer about Italy because I cannot answer for places which I don't know because I'm not the culture to give you a proper answer. So about Le Marne, we are going to buy more houses around and to have a sort of art room boutique hotel of 40 rooms. So you can sleep in the Michelangelo room, you can sleep in the Leonardo room, you can sleep in Vivaldi, Rossini room. So with the different arts, which will be painters, sculptors, dancers, and musicians. So, for example, I open my room and there is a music about Vincerò. And so you come immediately into the kind of artist which is the protagonist of the room. So it's a kind of, we call in Italian, Borgo dell'Arte Italiana. So it's a small town of Italian art where every room is the house of an artist, a very famous artist of the history of the country. So this is Le Marne. About Italy, Italy is a very strange country. It's very long. It's divided from Europe from a mountain chain, which is Alps. Is divided by in the middle by another mountain chains, which is Apennines. Is two very big islands, Sardinia and Sicily. And we are from always in the middle of the most commercial sea in the world, which is Mediterranean. So in the history of the country, we have a lot of invaders, sorry, and so we have a kind of very very different. Every region is different, and we have 26 regions. In every region, the cities are different. So to me, Italy is an incredible culture, puzzle of different cultures that are together. That means to be genius, but not be in the habit to respect rules. This is the history of the country. So by any point of view, the food, you go to Dolomites, you see the beautiful mountains. You go to Sardinia, you see the beautiful um, seaside. You go to Piedmont, you see the beautiful countryside with the vineyards. And every single place is different with its own tradition. You have the pig in Sardinia. You have truffle and anchovies in Piedmont. You have cheeses, Fontina, for example, in Valle d'Aosta, and so on. So to be very coherent with the tradition of the region, about all the stuff. So that means the materials, that means the food, that means what you smell in the hotel. So for me, this is the great opportunity which Italy has for the next years, with another kind of opportunity, which is the Italian soul. So I mean, we are, Italian people is quite simple people. Is very generous. Is very simple. So everybody loves us of the most. So this is also the quality of the person, the culture we have, the enthusiasm we have, also the different dialects is always an opportunity. So to live any single different town in Italy is a kind of opportunity. And maybe you come 50 times in Italy in your life, and every time is a new discover. From Vaticano to San Pietro to the artist, as I told before, and so I think it's the opportunity, and it's a kind of luxury of Italy, which is different from Ginza,
Absolutely.
which is
I
a
think,
very good luxury, but not Italy.
of course, what I've heard there is a great summary of Italy. Genius, but not always respecting the rules. So
It's
that's
normal.
one. And I hope
Where
that
you
I
are
get
an
a
aggregate of different populations, you have not the same rules. So you are in the you. It's harder to respect the rules of that somebody gave you. You know.
Absolutely. And I hope that I get a chance also to come and visit you at Le Marne, and when I'm walking into that new room that you're about to build, to hear Pavarotti's Vincerò in the
Absolutely.
background and his voice, and to smell the truffles coming from the kitchen downstairs. So it sounds amazing, and we wish you, from all of us here at Turneo, amazing luck in the future as you expand your business. And once again,
Okay.
congratulations on being voted one of the top experiential hospitality hotels
Thank
in
you.
Italy.
Thank you, Fran. Thank you for the attention you and Turneo gave me. It's something which is very, for me, that your attention means only one thing, which is smile. I'm
Thank you.
happy.